I didn't know something was wrong until I saw the cars. Not one or two. Dozens. Lined up along the dirt road outside my mango patch like it was a festival. Engines idling, doors slamming, people laughing, and then I saw the ladders. That's when my stomach dropped. Because nobody was supposed to be there, not today, not ever. I hit the brakes so hard my truck skidded sideways in the dust, and as I stepped out, I heard it. Branches snapping, fruit hitting the ground, voices shouting, "Take the ripe ones! Fill the baskets!" Don't miss that tree. I ran, and when I reached the gate, it was wide open. My lock cut clean in half. And standing right there, in the middle of my land, smiling like she owned the place, was her, Denise Carter, president of the HOA, clipboard in hand, sunglasses on, directing people, like she was hosting a damn event. That's when I realized this wasn't a misunderstanding. And this was theft. "Hey!" I shouted, running toward her. "What the hell is going on?" She turned slowly, like she'd been expecting me. "Oh, good," she said, completely calm. "You're finally here. Get these people off my land, right now." She tilted her head, amused. "Your land?" she said. "Actually, this area has been reclassified as a community resource." I blinked. "What?" She tapped her clipboard like that explained everything. "The HOA board voted last week. This mango grove was deemed underutilized, so we opened it up for residents." I stared at her. "You open my private farm to strangers?" "They're not strangers," she corrected. "They're members of the community. They're stealing. They're harvesting," she said, smiling. "There's a difference." Behind her, a kid yanked a branch down so hard it cracked. Mangoes dropped like rain. Another man dragged a ladder across my irrigation lines. Someone else was filling sacks. Sacks, not baskets. That's when it hit me. This wasn't casual picking. This was a wipeout. I stepped closer to her. "You have 5 minutes," I said quietly, "to clear every single person off this land before I call the police." She didn't flinch. In fact, she laughed. "Go ahead," she said. "We already spoke to the county." My jaw tightened. "What did you tell them?" "That this is HOA-managed land under community use." "That's a lie." She shrugged. "Prove it." I didn't argue. I pulled out my phone and started recording. "Everyone listen," I shouted. "You are trespassing on private property. You need to leave immediately." Some people froze. Others kept picking. One woman actually looked at Denise and asked, "Are we allowed to be here?" Denise smiled. "Of course, don't let him intimidate you." That did it. I dialed 911. "Yeah," I said, watching another branch snap under someone's weight. "I need officers out here immediately. I've got an active trespass and destruction of agricultural property." Denise crossed her arms. "This is going to backfire on you," she said. I didn't respond. I just kept filming, because I knew something she didn't. This wasn't just land. This was a registered agricultural operation. Every tree documented, every yield tracked, every sale contracted. Those mangoes, they weren't just fruit. They were already sold, pre-ordered, accounted for. And as I watched strangers strip my trees bare, I started doing the math in my head. Tree by tree, row by row, loss by loss. By the time the first police cruiser pulled up, I already knew. This wasn't a few $100s. This wasn't even a few thousand. This was going to hit hard. 2 deputies stepped out. They took one look at the chaos and immediately put their hands on their belts. "What's going on here?" I stepped forward. "My name is Daniel Reyes. I own this land. These people are trespassing and destroying my crop." Denise walked up beside me. "Denise Carter," she said smoothly. "HOA president. This is community-approved access." The deputies exchanged a glance. "Do you have documentation?" one of them asked. Denise handed over her clipboard. I almost laughed, because I knew what was on it. Nothing official, just HOA nonsense. The deputy flipped through it, then looked at me. "Do you have proof of ownership?" I didn't say a word. I walked to my truck, grabbed the folder from the glove compartment, and handed it over. Deeds, survey, agricultural registration, tax records. The deputy's expression changed immediately. He turned back to Denise. "Ma'am, this is private property." Her smile faded just slightly. "That's not what we were told." "By who?" "The HOA board." The deputy didn't even try to hide his reaction. "An HOA doesn't override property ownership." Silence. Behind us, people were still picking, still filling bags, still breaking branches. The deputy raised his voice. "Everyone stop what you're doing. Step away from the trees!" That's when the panic started. People dropping mangoes, grabbing their stuff, trying to leave, but it was too late. I stepped forward again. "No one leaves yet." They all turned to me. "You don't get to walk away from this," I said. "Not after what you've done." Denise's voice sharpened. "You can't detain people." "I don't need to," I said. Then I looked at the deputies. "But I can press charges." That's when Denise made her mistake. She stepped forward, raising her voice. "This is ridiculous. It's just fruit." I looked her dead in the eye. "No," I said. "It's not." I walked over to one of the stripped trees, ran my hand along the broken branches, then turned back to everyone. "This harvest," I said, "was pre-sold to 3 distributors." I pulled out my phone, opened the contracts, and showed the deputies. "Total value," I continued, $22,000. The entire crowd went quiet. You could feel the shift. Because suddenly this wasn't casual picking anymore. This wasn't harmless. This was felony-level loss. Denise blinked. "You're exaggerating." I shook my head. "I wish I was." The deputy looked at her. "Ma'am, if that number checks out..." He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to, because now, this wasn't just trespassing. This was criminal damage, and possibly organized, because she didn't just allow it. She invited it. Within 30 minutes, more units arrived. Then a supervisor. Then, because of the agricultural damage, a county inspector. I stood there, arms crossed, watching it all unfold. People were being questioned. Names taken, photos documented, every damaged tree recorded, every broken branch photographed. Denise tried to stay composed, but I could see it cracking. Especially when the inspector walked up to me. "You the owner?" "Yeah," he nodded. "Rough estimate?" I pointed across the grove. 70% of today's harvest, gone. He let out a low whistle. "That's bad." Then he turned to Denise. "Did you authorize this?" She hesitated. And that hesitation? That was everything, because in that moment, she went from confident authority to person who just realized she messed up. "It's a facilitated community access," she said. The inspector didn't smile. "That's not your call to make." By late afternoon, the grove was empty. But the damage, everywhere. Branches hanging, fruit crushed into the dirt. I stood there as the deputies approached me again. "Mr. Reyes," one of them said, "we're going to need an official statement. You'll get one. And we recommend you file for damages." I already planned to. Then he glanced back at Denise, who was now sitting on the back of a patrol car, not cuffed, but not free to leave either. "She may be facing charges," he added. I nodded slowly. "Good. Because this wasn't an accident. This was entitlement. Weaponized." 2 weeks later, I was sitting in a courtroom. Denise was across from me. No sunglasses this time, no smile, just a tight expression and a lawyer who looked exhausted. Because the evidence? Overwhelming. Video footage, police reports, agricultural assessments, financial contracts, and that number hit hard. 22,000 in direct loss, plus damages to trees, plus future yield reduction. Her lawyer tried to argue misunderstanding, tried to shift blame to the HOA board, tried to downplay the impact. It didn't work, because intent didn't matter anymore. Damage did, and the judge made that very clear. This was not a minor incident, he said. This was a significant violation of property rights and economic harm. Then he looked at Denise. "You acted outside your authority, and the consequences are yours to bear. Judgment, full compensation, additional penalties, legal fees, and removal from her HOA position." Just like that. It was over. A month later, I stood in my grove again. New growth was coming in, slowly. Not the same, but recovering. I reached up, picked a single mango from one of the surviving branches, and held it in my hand. Because this one mattered. Not for the money, not for the contracts, but for what it represented. Boundaries, respect, ownership, things Denise thought she could ignore, until reality hit. Here's the thing people don't understand about stories like this. It's never just about the fruit, or the land, or the money. It's about control, about people who think rules don't apply to them, who believe authority is something they can invent, instead of something they earn. Denise thought a clipboard made her powerful, that a vote gave her ownership. That confidence could replace truth. But reality doesn't care about confidence. Reality cares about facts, and the fact was simple. It wasn't her land. It never was. And the moment she forgot that was the moment everything started falling apart. So if there's one thing you take from this, let it be this: respect the line. Because the moment you cross it, you don't get to decide how far the consequences go.